Welcome to the Wired for Success podcast, your show for ambitious, mission-driven entrepreneurs who understand that there's more to entrepreneurship than finding the latest flash-in-the-pan strategies, who understand that in order to build your empire, you need a solid foundation. I wholeheartedly believe that entrepreneurship is the biggest self-development journey you can be on, and it's my mission to help you make that journey easier. In this show, I bring together the very best from science, self-development, and entrepreneurship to set you up for sustainable success. Hi, I'm Claudia Garbutt, the scientist and mindset coach behind this show, and you're listening to the Wired for Success podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Wired for Success podcast, where we talk about all things science, self-development, and entrepreneurship that help you get to that next level of success in your life and business. And today I'm bringing you another interview episode, and my guest today is sales and marketing expert Jon Tsourakis. Jon is a serial entrepreneur who specializes in brand identity, business communications, buyer behavior, sales conversations, marketing systems, product and service design, and digital marketing. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation because marketing and sales is such an interesting topic that on the surface looks like it's all about tech and strategies. But if you drill deeper, you will probably realize that at the heart of it, it's actually human psychology that plays one of the most crucial roles. At least that's what I think, but of course I want to find out what Jon, as the marketing and sales expert, thinks about this. So welcome, Jon, and thank you so much for taking the time to be on my show today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Claudia. Happy to be here.
As always, I would like to start by talking a little bit about your background and about your entrepreneurial journey so far. So tell us, how did you end up doing what you're doing today? What made you fall in love with marketing and sales?
So I kind of fell into it in some respects. My dad owned a company and he fired me. And I was going to school with a guy at the time that had just started a marketing company with his dad. And he said, "Hey, yeah, why don't you come work to work for us?" So I went to work for them. And it got really corporate. They were incredible at growing this company in a short amount of time. So after about 4 years, I decided to leave, and I thought I knew better and I could do it on my own. And that was in the pit of the recession. So that's like the 2008, 2009, which is really bad here in the States. And we focused on digital marketing. So I learned a lot working for that other company, but I also had to just figure out so many different things along the way.
Wow. So what do you think was the most important lesson entrepreneurship has taught you so far?
Bet on yourself. I think it's bet on yourself. And what I mean by that is you have to have the right attitude. You have to believe that you can do it, and you have to continually take care of yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually to make sure that you can keep progressing. If you don't, and you get out of rhythm with those three things, you're going to get out of rhythm with people. And when you get out of rhythm with people, your life feels like it's beginning to disintegrate and fall apart. So that is something I'm continually looking at and monitoring. How do I fall in those three different buckets?
I love that because I couldn't agree more. You have to look at your mental and physical health as the foundation of growing a sustainable business, right? And that's something that I help my clients with too, because that is something that I see happening a lot for those ambitious entrepreneurs who just focus so much on their work that everything else starts to slip away. And at some point they realize, what have I done to myself? Because I cannot keep up doing what I've been doing. It's just not sustainable. So I completely agree with what you just said. And as a serial entrepreneur, I mean, you have successfully gone through those beginning phases as well as the later phases of building a business a couple of times. And I guess as you progress through those different stages, the challenges that you face change too, right? Mm-hmm. The problems you have to overcome as a beginner are not the same problems you have to overcome as you grow and scale your established business. And let's talk about that for a moment. what have you found to be the most challenging during those early phases of building a business? And what have you found to be most challenging during those later business stages of growing and scaling?
The beginning is a combination of team building and getting people to believe in you. When it comes to marketing, advertising, a lot of what's in my industry and even in the tech space, it's not what you can do, it's what you have done. So you have to show this proof of work. So you're continually selling yourself, and it makes sense, right? People are going to judge you based on your past performance, your past history. It's the same thing as somebody looking at a resume. So building up that body of work and figuring out all of the things needed to have somebody trust you. What are all the things that they need to see? And then, of course, you get your reputation, so on and so forth. So that establishing that client base is really hard. And then building out that team. That is something that the wrong hire can cost you so much, or the wrong partnerships. It's insane. And you will think that you're the exception to a lot of rules, or, oh, it'll be okay. You'll kick that can down the road, but then you'll soon discover, like, nah, that's just not the case. I need to learn better. So those two things at the beginning. And then I would say toward, what I'm learning now are, they're just bigger risks. So it's just magnifying those situations where you want to keep growing. All right, do you want to, get larger clients? Okay, well, you need to put those same trust signals in place so you can get those. And then team building. Right now, it's not so much of finding necessarily the right people. There's just such a shortage of supply of people, right, to work, because there's so many businesses growing. So that's what we're dealing with now. And then I would also say, you learn a lot about the risks, because and the risks could be anything from a lawsuit or a bad client, taking something on, and learning those at the early age where you think you're the exception. Toward the end, you begin to really understand essentially what you're capable of, as well as what your company is capable of.
Right. I always love hearing those stories, because what I see, or the way I see it is that entrepreneurship is kind of like the biggest self-development journey that you can be on. Because in the beginning, you have this vague idea of what you want to achieve, but you're often still stuck in your familiar ways of thinking and behaving. And this can really just drastically limit your success. So to me, a lot of those struggles have to do with becoming aware of one's own patterns and breaking those patterns where necessary, so that they don't stop us from achieving what we want to achieve. And I mean, for instance, limiting beliefs about money and selling is one of the things that I see a lot. So many people, they hate the sales part, just because they have been taught that sales and selling is kind of about tricking other people to buy things they don't need or that don't work. And, this archetype of the sleazy used car salesman that we're probably all familiar with. So sales and selling have these very negative connotations for many people. And they see it as this necessary evil, but they feel so uncomfortable trying to sell their own products or services that the other person can sense their discomfort and just backs off. So is that something that you have experienced yourself, or have you just always felt comfortable promoting and selling your own products or services?
Oh, I was the worst salesperson ever. You're absolutely right. I also had those thoughts as well, where I was just like, oh, it's a huckster's game. It's a trickster. It's these disingenuous people, all those myths. Yeah. And I had a really, really good mentor that told me, and I wasn't able to sell something. So I had a job for 1 month, right, where I had to sell water. It was like this door-to-door thing, and you would sell like purified water. And I'm starving. Like I went a month and I couldn't sell anything. This was between the time where my dad fired me and this other guy gave me this job. And I remember there was the last day I was there was this old woman. She was on oxygen, and I go through this whole presentation. This presentation, Claudia, took like 3 hours. So this lady was so patient and so sweet. She lets me in her house while I'm testing her water. Like, oh yeah, you got terrible water. It's not good for you. And I haven't sold anything, so that's on my mind. I'm like, I got to pay rent and my car and whatnot. And she looks me in the eye, and these systems were like $8,000. And she says, okay, Jon, if you think I need this and this will help me, be healthier and live longer, then I will buy this from you. And I look back at her, I was like, you don't need this. I can't sell this thing to you. And what I learned from that is you just have to believe in what it is that you're selling. And you genuinely connect with somebody on the reasons that they want or desire, or need what it is that you have to sell. And then when you believe in what you're selling, it becomes so easy. And you're like, hey, you don't need this. That's fine. And then on to the next one. So I think anybody that's having issues with selling, they just need to get in tune with their people, if it's a service, their product, and really just believe and see all the benefits of it. And they'll be substantially better at selling whatever they can. And if they can't, they're a non-believer, they should go and find somebody else to do that for them, or just get out of it entirely.
I love that story. Such a nice story. And I'm definitely familiar with feeling uncomfortable in a sales conversation too, but not because I don't believe in my products or services, which I absolutely do, but because of those often like these subconscious negative associations with sales and selling. And I had to shift the way I look at sales away from this trying to get somebody else's hard-earned money to helping somebody solve a problem that they couldn't solve alone. So shifting my thinking from what's in it for me to how can I help somebody achieve their goals, and looking at sales through that lens of service was something that really made a huge difference for me. So what are your thoughts on that? So you already touched on that, but how do you look at sales and selling in a way that allows you to feel comfortable and at ease in your sales conversations?
So I think the thing most people get hung up on is the money part. So first off, going back to that believing, you have to know that you're worth it. You have to practice saying those numbers. So if you have a $5,000 engagement, you have to know, all right, I am worth my $5,000 engagement. You have to say that in the mirror because somebody else is going to see it. And you have to truly believe it. It is so, so important. And on the other side of that, anything that's uncomfortable in the sales process, those are things that I will call out because I don't want the other person to be uncomfortable. I don't want to be uncomfortable. So let's talk about money straight away, right? And that's something that you want to identify. And I'm not sure if you have packages or some of your listeners have packages. Well, that's easy. Okay, you have your $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 packages. All right, cool. That's fine. We're in a bespoke custom approach in one of my businesses. And in doing that, we instantly talk about money. It's like, okay, well, what is your budget at? And some people just feel uncomfortable. They don't want to talk about their budget because they're like, I can get a better deal. And they have all the thinking, right? This is a salesperson and they're trying to trick me and so on and so forth. And we'll instantly tell them, okay, hey, these are some other projects and these are where they land. So are you between, $5,000 and $250,000? Where are you in the spectrum? And it gets people more comfortable. You used to also use things like, okay, if you had to give me a round number of how much you would want to spend, what would that be? Just getting right toward it and letting them know like, okay, we can't move on until we figure this out. Because if you don't have the money, I don't want to waste your time. And right. I don't think you want to waste mine either.
Right. And would you suggest that's something to bring up early in the conversation or even before that during your qualification process? So do you have like an application sheet where they can book a call with you and you have them check a box or something like that? So would you incorporate it in the qualifying process or bring it up in a sales conversation?
We do, but nobody checks the box. Very seldomly will anybody put it in there, and it's fine. So we have processes and training in place to just let them know that this number is not going to be used against you. And especially when it comes to bespoke services where they're going to customize a package or a plan or a strategy for you, it's letting them know this is gas in the tank. How far do you want to go? So you give me $100,000, that's going to get you this much. If you give me $50,000, that's going to get you this far. And depending on, and I guess the most important thing is you always want to align somebody's goals with their budget. Right. If you want to go to the moon, we're going to need a lot of gas. We're going to need an impressive rocket to get there. And do you want to get out when you're on the moon? So it's just really getting them to understand that If you want to party like a rock star, you have to have the money. You can't do it on a washing machine's budget.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's why I have different tiers for my coaching packages as well. So depending on their budget, they can choose what option works best for them, or depending on what goals they want to reach, or how much accountability and support they need, because that's the thing that they will have to decide. They have to know themselves, right? Mm-hmm. So, okay, so let's assume you're in a sales conversation with a qualified lead, and you know you can help that person, and the person seems genuinely interested, but at the same time doesn't seem quite ready to take the next step and just hits you with one objection after the other. So maybe your service is too expensive, or it's not the right timing, or they don't have enough time, or whatever else they might come up with as a kind of smokescreen for their fears. So what do you do at that point of the sales conversation? How do you use your knowledge of sales psychology and buyer behavior to gently help that person overcome their fears without being salesy and without pushing them too far out of their comfort zone?
Ask them straight up and call out everything that you just said. It said, okay, well, you mentioned that you aren't ready in the timing yet. So when is that timing? So you get the timing. Okay, so it's going to be, let's say it's December that you're ready to start the budget. So any of those things that they move on, you have to call those out and say, but you said this, we agreed to this. And sometimes if it's not a right fit, you just ask them, it sounds like there's something else in the way. Is there something else in the way of us moving forward?
Right.
And you just really put it on them to do that and just let them know, like, hey, I want to help you. Do you want me to help you? Just really get in their world and just try to understand, like, hey, we're not connected here, and just humanize it as much as you possibly can. You want to put yourself on their side of the table as much as possible. But there are instances where people are going to try to trick you, or they think they're trying to get one over, and then there's this game. And if they're going to continually play that and they're not going to reciprocate your professionalism on the other side, it might not be a good fit, because you're going to work with this person in an engagement. And depending on what that is that the person that you want to work with? They can make your life hell. Exactly. So the best thing you could do is fire them before you bring them on as a client, and think about all the opportunity and all the other things when you can actually work with people you want to work with. What will that bring you? So it's easy to say goodbye when you can put that mindset in place.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Now that we've talked about your personal take on sales and selling, let's look a little bit at the bigger picture. So what do you think? Has the COVID pandemic influenced what works and what doesn't work in marketing and sales? And if so, in what way?
So I would say what doesn't work. So I'm trying to think of the nicest way to say this. I think there's a loss of integrity in the way that people have scheduled meetings. And what I mean is, a Zoom meeting to people is just flippant. It's almost like returning an email. So there's some people that feel that they might ghost. So I've seen a trend where people just don't show up to meetings before. And it was just like, wow, this hadn't happened. So my only thought is that this is, people are so familiar with it. It's like passing down somebody's hallway and looking in a doorway that it doesn't matter, which is really not cool. It's somebody else's time and they've scheduled it. So of course there's the opportunity cost as well. So what I would recommend somebody do there is confirm every single meeting. Have an email sent out by a person saying, hey, are you going to be there at this time? Let me know if you would like to reschedule. And of course, in doing in-person meetings are substantially shorter now as well. So I'm traveling to Chicago. I'm currently in Florida. And the number of people that I typically book meetings around when I go to a conference or event, it's so weird to them, where they're like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to meet. And then on the flip side, there's others that like, oh man, dude, I would just love to see another human. So I think it just has its different challenges, but as professionals, we just have to adapt, and we just have to figure out what works, and then just be as direct and, connecting as we can with the people that we're going to work with.
Right. And in your professional opinion, what would you say are the best sales techniques for 2021? And what trends do you predict for, say, the next 5 years?
the best, in 2021, the main thing is getting away from all of the automation, getting away from all those, and being as personable as possible. So if you're using these LinkedIn outreach campaigns or you're doing cold email, figure out a way to make it hyper personal so the person can connect with you. So if you went to a university, or you're in a sorority or a fraternity, or you have some type of commonality, show some interest in that person, and your engagement rates will be substantially higher. And as far as sales, just how can you make it as genuine and authentic as possible for that person? The more that you do that, the higher your conversion rates and close rates are going to be. And I forgot the last part of your question. I apologize. What was it?
What trends do you see for the next 5 years?
Oh, the hyper personalization on a mass scale. So AI being used based on the messages that you produce that are going to help craft those, because you're already seeing Google help finish your emails and whatnot. So you would be able to say, okay, I went to such and such school, or I have these things in common, and it's going to link you up with specific people that's going to help you craft those messages. So I think that's really going to take off in the next 5 years. On the flip side of that, people are going to become harder to sell to, because this is only going to last so long. So that's where I think it's really important for people to understand who they are, what it is that they sell, and find their tribe that they can connect with and sell to as much as possible. That's definitely coming down 5 years. You have to be substantially better at what it is that you do and what it is that you sell.
Right. So, I mean, you talked a little bit about artificial intelligence or techniques to personalize messages, but then this is not building a real, genuine human connection, right? And I think this is just probably going to be a very short-lived trend, because what I've seen over the past years is that people are so sick and tired of those automated messages.
Yep.
And as soon as they catch up to the fact that this is just the same thing dressed in a different, dressed differently, they won't like it anymore. So what else could we do to really build those human connections, like real human connections? And how can we do that without spending our entire day in front of the computer?
It's value. How can you either entertain or educate or just show value to the people that you're connecting with? So if somebody has an outreach message that has the personal touches that you like, and in there, they know through something that's maybe crawled online or whatnot that you need something specific based on a need that maybe you don't even know that you need or want yet, and that is given to you, that's how you'll be able to build that relationship. And you can do these things now in your business. You have to be careful, right? Because if you just come straight out, some people are going to have some cognitive dissonance. It's like, whoa, hey, that's not a problem I'm ready to talk about with a stranger. But at the end of the day, if you can add that value, whether it's that joke on the entertainment side or something educational or engaging with their social, those are things that are just human nature. We crave attention. We want to be educated, or want our problems solved, and we want to be entertained. So if you can touch on all those points, or ideally or some of those points, you will continually progress and create the relationships necessary so you can create those sales.
Right. So content marketing is still big, is something that we should focus on. Content marketing and creating those human connection relationships, the real relationships, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So looking at your services, I assume that most, if not all of them, are high ticket. Is that right?
I would say yes. We're not the bottom cost by any means. Yeah.
And do we have to differentiate between selling high ticket and low ticket in terms of marketing and sales strategies? And if so, what works best in high ticket sales?
Well, I think there's a couple different ways to look at it, right? So let's say that you're going to do a custom software build for somebody, and the starting engagement's like $500,000, right? So that's very high ticket, high involvement. It's going to take you a lot of time to make that decision. But somebody's not ready because they don't trust you yet. So what do? Well, you need an offer to get them in the door. So hey, let's just do a small 4-week strategy engagement. and that's going to be substantially less. And you get to see what it's like to work with our team. So I recommend people that create offers in that way. As far as somebody being the low ticket, in a high ticket game, you can only win so long because your margin is going to cost you. So I recommend that everybody look at their prices, and if they're not where they believe they should be, raise your prices. You're probably worth it. And you can fill in the gaps by just speaking to your customer base and figure out the things that they need to see that are going to help them. And I guess this is kind of off topic, but this is a great piece of advice that I give to anybody. If you are speaking to somebody in your sales process, ask them how to sell it to them. They will tell you exactly what has to happen, so they will buy your product.
Right.
And you can do that in so many different instances in marketing. Like, what would you have to see for you to contact this company? And people will tell you, oh, this, and this. And you can literally build your marketing plans and your sales plans directly around those things. People just love to give information.
I love that. And that's super interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. I'll have to try that.
Just ask them in your process, Claudia. Just say like, okay, what would I have to do for you to buy this? And people are like, oh, well, and they'll just literally tell you exactly what has to happen. And you're like, okay, cool. Let's just go ahead and make those things happen.
Awesome. So last but not least, where can our listeners find you online if they want to connect with you?
If you want to connect with me, LinkedIn's a great place. I love LinkedIn. My last name is Jon. My first name is Jon. Jon. Last name is Tsourakis. T as in Tom, S as in Sam, Ourakis. You can search me. Chances are you'll find me. Send me a connection request, or you can visit us online at one of my businesses, which is Oyova, Oyova.com. And you can shoot me an email, jonjon@oyova.com. Love to hear from you.
Thank you so much for this interesting conversation, Jon. And thank you so much for sharing all those tips and insights. I really appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you much. Thank you so much for having me, Claudia. It was a lot of fun.
So take care and talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks. Bye now.
Thank you so much for listening to the Wired for Success podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please take a sec to rate and review my show. It would mean the world to me because you'd help me reach more entrepreneurs like yourself who would love this show. If you'd like to learn more about creating a widely successful business without sacrificing your health, relationships, or sanity, make sure to stick around and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And why don't you help me spread the word and share this show with your friends? I'd really appreciate it, and I'm sure your friends will too. Want to continue this conversation, build real relationships, and join a community of like-minded entrepreneurs? Come join my free Facebook community for visionary entrepreneurs. I would love to see you there. In the meantime, if you haven't done so already, grab my free brain priming audio file for entrepreneurs and start priming your brain for success in less than 5 minutes each morning. Curious? You can learn more about how this works and download the audio file at www.wiredforsuccess.solutions. Until next time, bye!